Okay, recording in progress. Let me do this. Okay. So today we want to talk about how to teach English to children. The aims are we're going to consult on how to create a positive learning environment, familiarize with very young learners and young learners' characteristics, and talk about learning styles. What methods can you use to teach to children? So talking about young learners, there's a difference between young learners group and very young learners group. What's the difference? Very young learners refers to age of preschool, like 6, 7, just preschool, and sometimes the end of 5. But young during the elementary school, like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. What makes young learners different from other learners, like teenagers or adults? They're already very good at interpreting meaning without necessarily understanding the individual words. Adults usually ask for the meaning of each word, and even they criticize or analyze. But children or kids, when they understand the whole concept, they have a very good imagination. They never go through the details. Maybe they don't understand some words in the conversation, but when they understand the conversation is about the weather, they start to use some of the words that they know and say, yes, it's cold. Oh no, it's warm today, you know? So they never ask for the details and they never go through the details. They have great skill in using limited language creatively. If they know some words like water in English, like water, they only raise their hands and say, teacher, water. So you understand what they're saying. But usually adult, they don't say it. They ask you, if I want to ask to go out to get some water, how should I say that? So when it's like kids, when they learn their mother tongue with few words, they try to convey what they're feeling and what they want to ask for, right? So even for the foreign language or second language, they do the same. They learn indirectly rather than directly. When you teach to children, you put them in the context and you create the similar context. And then by using pictures, videos, miming, or telling them story, you try to teach. But for adults, even teenagers, you start telling them the form. You start telling them the rules. If you want to teach children simple present tense, you show them some picture and you said, this is David. He goes to school every day. And this one is his sister, Mary. She goes to work every day. This one is his father, James. James teaches at a school 5 days a week. So you put them in the context and the children, your students hear S, goes, teaches. Mm-hmm. In the context, you start to tell them the story, or through videos, you use the word S for third person, right? In simple present tense. So through being in the context and through listening on and on, they absorb it like they sponge in the water. They absorb the new information. So that's why we say they learn indirectly. than directly. But for adults, you start to learn, you start to explain the rule. Okay, simple present tense is the action or happened that regularly happened. And for third person in English, we add S. So sometimes you heard it S or Z sound. Sometimes we add ES, and then you start to tell them the rules. But for children, never, never, because it's hard for them to understand and it's hard for them to remember. But when they are in the context, they just imitate you. They love learning and fun, and they love to trust you. They need to trust you first. When they trust you, they follow what you said. But if they don't feel comfortable and trust you, and when it's not fun, it's very hard for them to continue. So they're looking for something nice, fun in the class all the time. Teaching to children, one aspect is using games. If you can teach through games and fun activities, you can see more engagement of your students. And they have a ready imagination. When you tell them, okay, everybody, imagine we are in the party. Without saying, they start dancing and, laughing. Oh, yeah, we are in the party. They have a very good imagination. On the other hand, short concentration span and short term memory. So basically, for younger children, they can concentrate up to 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, they start looking around or they start coloring with a color pencil. I look at their classmates' books. So what we do why we're teaching to children, it's better you change the activity every 10 minutes. Or when you see, hey, they get bored, you start having like ice break activities and change it a little bit. So in your toolbox that I always talk about it, taking different activities to the class. So think about games, think about videos, think about audios, worksheets, okay, different activities because they get bored very soon. What do young learners need? Number one, developing brain ability. They love coloring, painting, cutting, pasting, using their muscles. Loving eye contacts. Even in your online classes, it's better you ask them to turn on their video cam and you always look through your webcam. A smile, using their names, call them by their names, and noticing, call their names, or even you said, hey, you were absent last time. What happened? We miss you in the class. When you see they have like nice dress on, it's wow, what a beautiful color. Oh, I love your t-shirt. Just noticed. It's important for them very much. Physical movement. TPR, total physical response, that we're going to talk about it, and brain breaks like ice breaks. So even in their online classes, it's very hard for them to sit for an hour. So through the activities, sometimes ask them for move up activities. I want everybody in 2 minutes, go and grab something in pink. So they have to go around and find something in pink and show it to you. Okay. Okay. Now I want you just after the next 10 minutes or 30 minutes. Now once you, is there a window in your room? And they say, yes. Okay. I want you to go to the window, look outside for 1 minute, then come back and tell me what have you seen. So they have to go through the window, look outside for 1 minute, and then come back and say, hey, I saw this one and that, wow, and start talking. So think about this kind of move-up activity. Depends on the target language of the class or the aim of the class. Get engaged, engagement all the time, like group working, pair working, drawing something and show it to their webcam, or sharing a worksheet, ask them to read something and then explain it to you, or write something or type something and send it to you, or you share your whiteboard, okay? The whiteboard, or share your screen with them and give them the access to draw something, join, match. So all the time they get engaged. Lots of creativity, lots of experiences. So we never put them in the box because we say they have a very ready and good imagination. So it's better you create the situation and give them time to be creative. So you can put them in pairs, you can put them in groups and give them thinking time and let them plan. Like when you ask them to talk about their daily activities, you can say, talk about your weekends. Because usually through the week, okay, through the weeks, they usually go to school or classes, but weekends is different. So you can ask them to draw one of the activities, or just through simple pictures, they talk about the activities that they usually do on weekends. Or you can ask them, talk about your ideal weekend. Let them be creative. If you were in Japan, what would you do on your weekend? So they have to Google it. What's Japan? What can they do? Just make it different. That's what I'm trying to say. Holistic learning. So that was a good example. I told you, put the sponge in the water. What happened? When you put sponge in water, it absorbs water, right? That's how they learn. So that's why we say they learn holistically. It's difficult to teach them only reading, only writing, or listening, or speaking. So you put them in the context, a little bit they read, then they write and take notes and share it with you. Then they listen to the audio. Then they talk about the topic. That is holistic learning. So all the skills become integrated. There are 4 types of learning style that we should always remember. I mean, they're different, but especially for children, these 4 are highlighted. Some students, I could say most of the students or most of the kids are visual learners. So they need to see. So you have to prepare PowerPoint. You have to find proper posters, pictures, short videos, or cartoons that they love. Use the characters that they like cartoon characters, or maybe their popular game characters. Or if they like a sport, like popular athlete and that kind of sport. So they need to see. Then auditory. Some of them, you need to explain everything for them. That's why usually some families said, okay, my children learn everything in the class. Why? Because they are auditory learners. They need to listen and learn. So why the teacher is talking or explaining, and then they discuss it in their groups, in their pairs, okay, in pairs and in their groups, they learn well in the class because they're auditory learners through talking and listening. Reading, writing. On the other hand, some students need individual time, like thinking time. So what happened is they need to, even in pairs, they need time to take notes, to write and read for themselves. So they need like worksheets, they need book to study, even before coming to the class. Some of the students like to read the reading before coming to the class. So they have the idea when they intern, usually older ones, and kinesthetic ones, like um, When you teach them even mug, they want to touch it and say, can I take it for a minute? Or they come and touch it, hands on. This is the way they learn. Or they want to act, like role playing. They love games, you know? They love games. And through games, they learn better. And they are very active. So weight becomes like this. Sometimes, you know, that's technology, right? Sometimes I don't know what happened, but okay, now to the full slide. Okay. What kind of activities young learners should have in their classes? So variety of activities. You never know which one is visual learner, which one is auditory learners, which ones are kinesthetic, or which ones are read and write. So, but the best thing is you have all the activities in the class. Excuse me. In this case, you have your visual attraction. Look like puppets, little froggy or pink monkey, and they are the characters, the talk, and you can teach you while you are teaching. Through your teaching, you use your puppets or finger puppets, and he asked them what to do or what are the assignment, so you would grab their attention. Posters, toys, different games. Think about different games, songs, chants, and even worksheet, but different worksheet like this one, talking about different parts of body. So all of them said 2 eyes, 1 nose, 1 mouth, 2 ears. But what if you ask them, I want you to draw your monster. When you say draw your monster, so monsters are different, right? Then write about how do they look like or how do they look. So it said my monster has 1 big eyes in the middle of his face and 1 mouth, but 4 arms. And you get excited too. Wow, and long legs. So it's going to be different. It's going to be different, and your students become more creative because they have a very good imagination and it's more fun. That's what they are looking for. Just make it fun for them. There are some rules that we should always remember for students, especially young learners. Number 1, you need to know them. By knowing them, you need to know their names. You need to know their interests, hobbies, what they like, even what color they like. If most of them like pink, so when you make PowerPoint, use pink. You know, this is the character I mostly use when I know most of my students like pink because it grabbed their attention, right? And what do they do? What about their favorite cartoons character? So I use that character when I want to talk or when I need to make posters. I use that character. They're gonna love it more, right? What's more, you need to know what they like. You need to earn their trust. So they trust you. It means no matter if I make mistakes or not, what happened, my teacher is here to protect me, to support me, and help me in learning. That's the time they trust you. And you need to base your teaching around the topic. So if today's topic is learning how to use present perfect, so all the posters, pictures, stories, videos, your PowerPoint, they're all around present perfect. I never come to children class and say, hey, everybody, today we are learning about present perfect. No, no, we never do that. Because we said, you remember, we said children learn indirectly. But I put them in a situation that they hear present perfect, present perfect. I've read it, I've had it, I've learned it, I've been teaching for 20 years or 25 years. Okay. I've been streaming for 9 years, you know? So they hear in the whole class, they hear present perfect, and they understand the meaning means from past up to now, from past of 4 years. So past 4 years up to now. 25 years. That's a long time. I've been living in this area for 10 years. So 10 years ago up to now. So then after a while, after a while, through practice activities, they learn it. And at the end of the class, they start to use present perfect too. So it goes around the topic. And you need to engage and challenge them. By challenging, not make it too difficult, but it shouldn't be too easy. You give them a chance to be creative and you work on critical thinking skills. So they start through pair working, they try to learn. They try to find a better solution. They try to find the answer. It's not ready. They need to try. Through that trying, they learn better. Okay. There are different methods for teaching children. One is see, hear, do. Okay? See, hear, do. So, what is see, hear, do? So, they look they look at they can see the PowerPoint, they can watch the video. So they see, and you explain, they can hear it, and they listen to the audio. And then after a while, you get the feedback. So they see, they hear, they listen, and then you ask them to produce, to use what they learn in their talking, or you ask them to write, or they act like role play. See, hear, do. TPR is it's very common. Total physical response activity is very common method for teaching children and even lower levels for adults and teenagers. So it's a method. Of it could be teaching vocabulary or any kind of conversation. But usually in learning vocabulary, use a lot. So by through physical movement, they show that they learn. Like point to the window. So all of the students point to the window, point to the ceiling, point to the floor. So you understood that, oh, they got the meaning of ceiling, or they got the meaning of floor, or show me you're cool, and they start doing this, or fly, or swim. Okay, swim like a fish, fly like a bird, drive your car, hug your teddy, you know? So they show that's physical response. They show the action. They mimic the action. Mhm. This is very common. Show me you're happy. Show me you're sad. It's fun too, right? And engage, study, activate. I'm sorry. Engage, study, activate. So engage, you put them in the context. They are part of your teaching activities. So you ask them questions. Um, there's a dialogue that I'm going to use engage, study, activate method and show it how to use this method in teaching that conversation. But in short, engagements, you put them in the context, you start asking them some question about the known part. Like the context is, or the reading is about different kinds of weather, right? So you you put some pictures. And said, okay, this is rainy, this is sunny, and this is snowing, and this one is windy. Oh, okay. Which one do you like more? They can show it. They say, I like that one. I like this one. Okay, what about in winter? What kind of weather do we have in winter? And they start talking snowing and windy. Uh-huh, very good. What about in summer? So that's engaging part. Okay. Then study is the part that they have to go through they need to go through the reading and answer to the questions, talking about the new words, and listening to the reading, choose the best answer, like multiple choice. That's the study part. It could be in pairs, it could be in groups. Activate is a part that you ask them to talk about the reading, to talk about the reading. So activate the knowledge that they have learned and they use it. So we call it engage, study, activate. ICQ and CCQ, as we talked about them before, instruction checking questions and concept checking questions. Both, you need to use it a lot during the class. When you ask them to do an activity, always ask questions in detail. Are you going to write it in the book or type it in the chat box? Are you going to read it in the group or alone? You know, it depends on the instruction, but you check with them. Are you going to underline the new words or just write or just find the new words? So check with them if they completely understand what are they going to do for this activity. Concept checking questions, on the other hand, you check their understanding. Like when you teach them the word early, you teach them the new word is early. And you want to check with them if they understood the meaning of early. We never ask them, do you wake up early? So why? Because maybe they say yes or no. If they say yes, so we don't understand. Do they really wake up early? Or maybe they say no. So do they understand the meaning of early? No. But what if you ask them, what time do you get up? And they say, I get up at 6. What time, Tom? What time do you get up? I get up at 10. Okay, tell me, who gets up early in the morning? That's that, for example, Jim. Why? Because he gets up at 6. No, you get it all. They understand the meaning of early. So concept checking questions, like you ask the question to be sure they understand they learn the meaning of the word correctly. So CCQ and ICQ, instruction checking questions and concept checking questions. For assessment, it's not only at the end of the term or midterm. That's for adults. Okay? That's summative assessment. Like academic progress past the term or in the mid, you find out what you need to practice more. With children, it's better besides the summative assessment, you have formative assessment too. So after 2 lessons, as a kind of review, a short quiz, get the feedback. Have to learn the first two lessons, then you move up to the 3rd lesson. Okay? And usually in children's learning book, you see backup or consolidation or review lesson. It just review the last 2 or 3 lessons. Then they move to the new lesson. So always think about some formative assessments like short quizzes or review activities. So through these stages, when you want to plan for process, how to start, how to practice, how to get the feedback. Engagement, study, activate. Or TPR, whatever. You put them in the context, you ask them questions, or you give them kind of activities to engage with the process. So practice the form, the meaning, indirectly teaching, that's while, and post is the part that you get the feedback that we call it activation. Always we think about relevant homework. What they learn in the class is for the class. And when they get home, if they don't review what they learn in the class, next time or next day that they come back to the class, they would forget part of it. So what they learn in the class, they need to practice. They need to have a similar activity at home to review again at home and help them to remember better. Let's go for sub skills, like what techniques do we use to teach words? Pre, while, post. Engage, study, activate. So number one, for learning vocabulary, is convey the meaning. Either you can show the realia, it's a monkey, a frog, a bear, right? And you ask them to repeat because you have to work on pronunciation too. Maybe you put them in the context, like interesting, funny. You tell them the story. Or boring. Okay, miming is good too, but when you explain it in the story, they can understand it better. Sometimes you use different pictures, like here, teacher, students. They look at the picture and they understand it. You draw it or use different AVA, audio visual aids. Even you can use synonyms or antonym. It's not dark, it's light. Okay? Or Klein, using Klein like this one. These are props. These are pictures for teachers, secretary, music teacher. That's a Klein. That's a Klein. Drawing a line and put the words in a correct series, like freezing, cold, chilly, cool, mild, warm, hot, boiling, sweater. So that now they understand what's the difference between mild and cold. What's the difference between freezing and cold? It's hard to explain, but it's easy. When you put it on a client, it's easy. Or never, rarely, sometimes, often, always. So what's the difference between often and always? But drawing line or a line, it's much easier for them to understand. These are different techniques you can use for teaching or convey the meaning. Then what's next is repetition. Ask them to repeat. Okay, everybody repeat frog, frog, not frog, frog. And you randomly check, ask them to say, what was the word? Or show them what's this. When you ask them what's this and they say it's a frog, so you say, oh, that's concept checking question. Perfect. That's nice. What about this one? Is it frog? No, it's not. It's monkey. That's concept checking questions. Okay. And then spelling. It depends on the level. We start with the easy words like 3-letter words or 4-letter words. They learn how to, after they learn the alphabet, they learn how to write frog, monkey, pan, top, like easy words. Then little by little harder words. For practicing spelling, you can use the grid. Find 4 animals. And then define dog, cat, draw line fish, or monkey, or rabbit, or snake. There are more than 4 here, but you just ask them 4 because you make it easier first. Then say, I want you to add, to find 2 more. So this is fun too. Instead of asking them to write, they find it. When they go through it and find it, it's more fun. So we can, for concept checking, you can use pictures. Realia, you just ask them questions, or using grid or table, write the synonyms or antonyms, or fill in the blanks with the proper words. So they have to, they need to know the meaning of the words to fill in the blanks, or ask them to use the words and tell you the story. So they should understand the meaning of the words to tell you the story. There are different ways to check the meaning. What about conversation time? Conversation time is the time that you practice speaking and listening, right? You practice speaking and listening. So we always start with pre, while, post. The process is the same, pre, while, post. So what we do, we always put them in the context. If the dialogue is about weather, we start asking them about, hey, look outside. How's the weather today? What's it like? Okay. What's your favorite kind of weather? Do you like warm or hot or cold or freezing? So you ask engagement, you ask them some questions. So you start with the speaking part. Then in dialogue, in conversation, you work on the speaking skills, you work on listening skills, also learning functions like, how about doing this? Let's go out. Let's making suggestions. Would you like that? Invitation. If I were you, giving advice. So different functions. Pronunciation. Mhm. Not only pronouncing a word correctly, but also how to pronounce the full sentence that the listener can understand. Not monotonous, where to raise, where to go down, or the best answer could be question tags. If you know the answer, it falls. If you don't know the answer, it raises. Like, that's Mary, isn't it? Because I know it is Mary, right? And you say, yeah, that's Mary. But say, is that Mary? Or that's Mary, isn't she? So it means you're not very sure. And say, oh, yeah, she is. She's Mary. Okay. So pronunciation, intonation, working on vocabulary, reviewing grammar, okay, stress, intonation, all. This is a sample of a dialogue from Family Friends Tree. So the whole dialogue said, let's walk to the shops. What's the weather like? It's sunny. Don't put on your coat, please. It's hot today. Put on your sun hat, please. Then they go out and say, oh, no, it's windy. My hat. The wind blew the hat. Catch it. Oh, no, now it's raining. We haven't our umbrellas. Let's go home. Quick, open the door. Where's the key? Oh, no, I haven't the key. Oh, we are all wet. So that's a dialogue. Okay. So how we start. There's some new words like windy, raining, wet, put on your coat, sunny. These are new words. You know it as a teacher, you know there are new words. So I wanted to put them in the context. I show them two pictures. I said, look at picture A, look at picture B. What can you see in these pictures? Engagement. Mm-hmm. Putting in the context, engagement. Your students start telling you, I can see grandparents, I can see grandchildren. Then you start asking them about weather. Is it hot? Is it warm? Is it cold? How do you know? Because if their teacher, they put on, they put on t-shirts, they put on jackets. So you use the words, right? Mm-hmm. And they are in the context. Weather, warm, t-shirts, cold, jacket, grandparents, they are outside. They go shopping. Look at the second picture. They are go shopping. What are they buying? So you ask them some questions. Then he said, okay, look here. Well, how's the weather? What's the weather like? So it's raining. It's raining. So you show them a picture and you mime, because do you remember I said move up activities, physical activities? Total physical response showing. They love this. So they say, okay, show me it's raining. They say, shh, it's raining. It's raining. Nice. And then you ask them to repeat. Okay? It's raining. And they repeat after you. What about this one? And they say, it's sunny. It's hot. And this one is windy. It's windy. So in English, we have some letters that not in all languages, like W. It sounds w. Maybe in some languages, like Spanish or Persian, they don't have w sound. So you have to practice with your students if you have foreign students in your class. So you have said, okay, what? It's not windy. It's windy, windy, windy. So you have to practice. That's good to know what's the background of your students. So do they have the sound? Like in many languages, they don't have the sound, like there is TH sounds. So you need to practice more. It's windy. Show me it's windy. Very good. Now show me it's raining. Shh, it's raining. This is CCQ, concept checking questions, like through miming. So, and look at here, when you wash your hands are wet. Look at this cat. The cat is, or the kitten is wet. Again, wet, wet, W sound, right? So after that, you start asking them questions. What about this one? Jimmy, you tell me. And said it's raining. What about this one? Mary, it's windy. What about that? Okay, Russ, it's snowing. What with this one, Selena? It's sunny. It's hot. That is concept checking too. He's cold. And that's wet. They know the keywords. So you have to pre-teach the keywords. Otherwise, they won't understand the conversation at all. We don't teach all the new words. Let them get some of them in the context, but we need to pre-teach the keywords, right? After that, it's a listening part. But we said kids have short concentration span. Mhm. They have short concentration span. I want to help them to concentrate better. They can focus better. How? I give them some questions. And they need to listen to find the answer. What's the weather like? Mhm. And where are they going? So you're going to listen to a conversation. It's about Billy and his sister and grandparents. Number one, where are they planning to go? Number two, tell me about the weather. What's the weather like? So they have to listen and find out. They're going to the shop. I would say, let's go to the shops, or let's go shopping. The function is making suggestion. Let's do this or let's do that. Mhm. And the weather, windy, raining. Actually, it's sunny first, then windy, raining. Then you want to practice more and said, okay, I want everybody listen again and show me the weather words. Okay, just show it to me. When it is sunny, you say, so the webcams are on, right? It's sunny. It's raining. It's windy, right? That's move up activities. You remember I said they get tired and bored? But when they listen and then they act out as like kind of physical activity. What's next? I want them to learn the spelling too. So I said, now I want you to listen. I want you to listen. We give them chance to listen more than two, maybe two, three times, definitely more than one time, because we say they grasp the knowledge, they learn indirectly. So I want you to listen and fill in the blanks. Then you check with your students. Okay, in your part, read part A and try to remember part B. Maybe it's a little bit different, but as long as it's correct, that's fine. Now in your pairs, you swap their pairs. Now I want you to remember part A, read part B, and remember part A. Then you put them in different situation. You two go shopping. You two go to the party. You two go put students in different pairs like Brickens. You two go to the park to play football or soccer. You two go on picnic. Now make the dialogue. Hey, let's go to the party. Oh, what's the weather like? It's sunny. Put on your sun hat. Or it's windy. Put on your coat. And talk about different kinds of weather and make up the dollar. Let them be creative. So this is the activation. Well, those activities that we already talked about, they are the study part, practicing through pictures, in pairs, in groups, listening, fill in the blanks, thinking about part A, think about part B. Those are the study part. But now it's activation. It's a time that they start role playing. Then it's good not to ask them to memorize. You know, if you memorize something, you will forget it after a while. But when you practice to learn something, when you create something, you remember longer. What about the listening? Same as adults, there are two approaches, top down, bottom up. We discussed it last session. Top down is a part that you talk about the comprehension part, like listen and tell me what's their job. Listen, tell me where were they. Listen and tell me the time. So they need to comprehend the whole listening. Bottom up, it's a linguistic part, like find out the specific word or talking about grammar. Here, this activity is like bottom up approach, works at the hospital. So they have to listen and find out who works at the hospital. And they say nurse. So they have to write nurse correctly. This is a very good activity because it works on their spelling. Okay, like who works at fire station? Firefighter. But this one, so what does Piggy's dad do? It works on both approaches. Okay, bottom up and top down more, both. They need to listen to the dialogue. They have to understand what's the whole dialogue about. Then they need to know what's the difference between cashier, teacher, and barber. Because in the dialogue it said Piggy's dad works at school. So it's not a cashier because cashier doesn't work at school. It's not a barber because barber doesn't work at school, but it's a teacher. So they find teacher, right? So they need to know the meaning of the words. On the other hand, they need to comprehend what's it saying. It's more challenging, right? It's more challenging. After that, when they listen to both, they know where firefighters work and they talk about their activities, okay, where they work, what they do. Then you show them the pictures and said, okay, I want you to choose your favorite job and talk about it. Which one do you like more? They say, oh, he's a teacher. He works at a school. I like to be a teacher. Or she's a firefighter. She works at the fire station. Okay? Or you show them a picture and say, I want you to write 2 sentences for each picture to test their writing. It depends on you and the target language or the aim of the class. Here's an example of a reading. So the dialogue was around weather. The reading goes around the topic. You know that now they know the meaning of the new words. They know what's raining, what's windy, snowing, and cold and sunny. So you ask them some general comprehension questions. What time? What time is it talking about? And what do you need to wear? So you give them time for scheming. They go through the reading and find out the answer. Very general comprehension questions. So that's the scheming. to go through the reading and get the gist. So it's 9 o'clock and they need to wear raincoat. Good. It's in the afternoon. It's good to wear sunglasses and hats, sun hats. Then it depends on the class. Sometimes because you want to work on pronunciation, maybe you ask some of the students to read some sentences, not the whole text, because it's going to be very boring and is wasting time. Maybe you ask one or two students, or randomly you ask some students to read some sentences to check their pronunciation. Or if there are some new words like outside, you check with them if they understood the meaning of outside. Or fly away. So do they understand the meaning of fly away? That's some typo mistakes. It's fly away, right? So uh, you check the meaning. If they don't know, you have to, it's a time to teach them the meaning of the words or the phrases that they may not know, and ask them to go through it again and answer to the detailed questions or talk about it. Okay, which weather do you like more? I like the at 6 o'clock because it's snowing. I need to wear my warm clothes. I love it because I can make snowman. So yeah, ask them to use the new words and talk about it. What about typing, writing? I'm sorry. What about different types of writing? There are different activities like copying, gap filling, reordering, or creative writing. If I want to put them in three categories, I would say control writing, guided writing, and free writing. Copying is like that. Look at the picture and complete the word. So it's ant, okay? They write A. Well, sometimes they only need to trace over or pick P. This is copying too. Here, they need to learn the words in English or in all language. They need a space in between and they shouldn't stitch to each other. Okay? So it's easier to read. So it's a I space want space to space go space home space and at the end period. hmm That's important to learn. Not some letters too big, too long, but some others short. Okay, very small. So in the same size. That's copying. And when you start the sentence, it should be in capital. So capital C for can, capital H for ha. Okay, how are you today? And at the end of the sentence, period or question marks. How to test or how to evaluate, like this one. Rewrite correctly. So here it works on punctuation and capitalization. Like I at the beginning, it should be in capital. Kimi is a word, it should be in capital. There's no full stop or period. So they have to rewrite it. That's a good activation activity or exercise. When you want to get the feedback, check with your student they have learned. That's going to be a very good one. Visualize to make it fun. You say, okay, because it's to your students, children are very creative. So visualize the word. Like when they want to write long, they write it in a way long. So it's long, small, okay, in tiny letters, egg in an oval shape, or big, big, big. Just make it big. Okay, that's visualizing. To motivate them to write, you can ask them, okay, they can draw on their face mask the kind of animal that they like their mouth, the mouth and the nose, like pig or dogs or duck, the pig, or like hippo, the nose, and put on their mask and then turn on their webcam. So their other classmate, their friend, should write 3 sentences about them. Okay, you are a pig. You have pinky, big nose, you know. So they write. Or you ask them to bring up their favorite toy, and the other students write some sentences, or they themselves write some sentences. This is my uh, green foggy. It's a small. It has two big eyes and a long mouth, small arms and small legs. Okay. Depends on the level. Depends on the level. Guided writing, like they listen to the audio and complete the text. Old MacDonald had a farm, so the right farm. E-I-E-I-O. And on his farm, he has a cow with a moo here and a moo there, a moo here and there. So they continue and listen. And again, it has a pig, so they write pig. They need to listen and complete, or listen to the song and complete the text. Another guided writing is picture story or picto story. So for instead of the word, you put the pictures. There is a puppy and a kitten near our house. So they need to write. Crossword puzzles for higher levels. You give them the definitions. They need to find the word and write it in the crossword. EclipseCrossword.com. You can use this site and you give the definition. It makes you for you a crossword, or there are many free ones to download. For paragraph writing, we need to give them first a sample. So, oops, sorry. So first they see the sample, then always from easy to difficult. They see a sample about Melina. How old is Melina? What does she do every day? What she likes, or what's her favorite color? What's her favorite food? Next one is Jackie. Jackie, on the left side, they can find the information, but they have to write the complete sentence based on the first sample. So they have to write the complete sentence and fill or complete the sentence or fill in the blanks by using the information on the left side. Third is a part that they write about themselves. So already they practice enough. They had the sample, they had the information of fill in the blanks. Now it's the time to activate, to write about themselves. So my focus is on practice time. So in your kids classes or children classes, start energetically. Start the class with songs, games, story, chanting, from easy to difficult. When they feel comfortable, when they trust you, when they have fun. After that, you get their attentions and use your tools box, different activity to grab their attention and help them to concentrate and focus on the new lesson. Prepare different activities, move around activities, and short activities, because they have short concentration span and they get bored very soon. And for all types of learners. So I have videos, posters, PowerPoint for visual learners. I have audios and I explain many parts for auditory learners. I prepare worksheet and workbook assignment, and also reading for the ones who needs to read and write and take notes. I have games, role playing, interviewing for ones that they are kinesthetic learners. Okay. And lots of repetition, because they need to practice enough to learn indirectly, to grasp. Okay. To imitate. So you need lots of repetition and then never get tired. Okay. At the very end, a short recap for the whole class. CCQ, concept checking question to be sure they learn. Then explain the homework. What should they do at home? Ask them some ICQ questions to check the instruction to be sure they know what should they do at home. This is a very nice quote from Plato that said, do not train a child to learn by force or harshness, but direct them to it by what amuses their minds. They have a great, perfect imagination, but you need to give them proper time, and proper activity to help them to use their creativity and imagination and learn the lesson. Okay? Now it's time for asking questions. Okay, thank you.